how are you doing? We're so glad to have you tonight with us.
Oh, I'm good. Thank you guys for having me. Like, I know this was supposed to happen last week, but we couldn't get it together. But I'm happy we're doing this now.
Don't worry.
We're glad to have you.
So Jappy, I remember you from ComiCon, all the cons, and back then it was like you were. Well, just tell us about that. When did you start doing the local cons?
Well, I started in college, so I was in La Salle. Yeah, that's where we first met. You and I first met.
That's right.
You were selling chicken. Maryland chicken. Yes. Maryland chicken.
And that's my other hat. Hold on. That's my other hat. Yeah. So I had a food shop. Yeah.
You were selling Maryland chicken. I had no idea who you were. I was thought, it's the guy who sells chicken. That's cool. And then I started doing cons. I started doing things like ComiCon and Sticker Con and all that. And I would see you selling, like, you do this too? Like, yeah, man, yeah, we're cool. Like, I saw you selling chicken. That's cool. And that's it.
Did you try the deep-fried watermelon, Jappy?
Of course.
Yes,
of course.
Yes.
There's a boy.
Everyone in school talked about the watermelon. Like,
you
have to try the deep-fried.
You're to hear, folks.
So you went to La Salle. What was your major in school?
I took up legal management. So I was studying to be a lawyer before I became an artist. Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, actually, no. I first went to UST. So my college career is kind of weird. I went to UST to do fine arts, and that's when I kind of got burnt out. It wasn't really good for me over there, so I left and decided, okay, I'll just be a lawyer instead, I guess. So I went to.
Usually, it's the other way around.
Yeah, I get that all the time. Like, that's the weirdest origin story we've ever heard. Like, yeah. Definitely.
It's the best origin story.
Thank you.
You graduate with a degree in pre-law, and you just say, screw law school. I'm going to start drawing on walls.
Well, no, it wasn't that abrupt. I guess it was in college in University in La Salle, where I started getting commissions to do art because I was in a media org. We ran the radio station, so the radio station at the school, and I was just drawing for fun. I had my sketchbook all the time, and they started telling me, you should sell your work. How? Like, make stickers or do something. So I would make stickers. I put it on Instagram, and then people just started hiring me. Like, can you paint? There it is, one of my stickers.
Oh, what is that, Fred? Who's our friend?
All right,
that's
so
you know him, Jappy.
One of my characters.
Nice blue fighting.
But
here.
Yeah,
So-
the tiger, the blue tiger is kind of one of the first stickers I ever made was the blue tiger. So I always make different iterations of it every chance I get. So yeah.
Wow, nice.
So what is it with you and tigers? Because I noticed tigers are a consistent theme.
I get
tigers
that a lot.
and
Yeah.
eagles.
I think the tiger thing is just something that resonates with me. Just something that you just find interesting, infinitely applicable to anything. There's a whole strength to it. There's a whole Asianness to it that I also love. So yeah, it's just the artistic look and power of a tiger that I really get drawn to. And I'm a really big fan of the Rocky movies, so that's probably also.
That makes sense.
I have a tiger.
Talking about art in school, I know that you went to the SVA NYC Summer Illustration Residency. So
yes, I did.
How did you go
it's
from
a long one?
Yeah, how did you go from doing pre-law, doing a few cons in college, to going to New York art residency?
Okay, so the SVA was kind of my dream school ever since high school here in the Philippines. But of course, the fees were insane, and you'd have to move over there and the whole problem. So it just never came to be. It was after I graduated and I got some work already. I built up a pretty decent portfolio that I was made aware of the summer program. It's kind of, you have to apply, and only the best people get in, apparently. So when I said, oh, why not? Let's try it. I made some money. I could pay for the thing myself. I don't have to worry my family about it. So I did. I sent it in, and I got in. Then I flew over there. That was a whole year ago.
Yeah. So pronounce this for me. Is it, because we were debating back and forth. It's Pino. Is that Pinot? Like Pinot Grigio?
It's
the magazine.
The magazine. It's Pinot. like Filipino.
Pinot.
Yeah.
I see. I told you guys. See, it's like
It's Pinot.
Pinot as in Filipino.
I
They're
kind
like
of
French.
It's a wine. I tell you, it's a wine.
really sense that.
Yeah, it's also a wine. That's also a wine. Yeah, but it's
Okay.
Pinot.
Thanks for
How did you
clarifying
do that?
that.
Like yeah. How do you go from doing stickers, like getting a few commissions, to like getting like covers of magazines? Like what I'm trying to connect the dots for a lot of our listeners is you went from an artist's ambition and talent to an indie creator to like successful. It's like, what was that step between, you know, I'm just calling like I see it, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, I get
You
weird
ain't wrong.
with when people start saying like the good things. I get kind of, oh man, but you know, thank you.
The goosebumps are worth it.
Thing, like, oh, I don't deserve it, but there. Yeah, I think it was just about building the portfolio, trying to make as much work as you can, and getting noticed. So social media obviously had a great big help in that. You know, you can make anything right now, put it up, and it's accessible to pretty much everyone, unless you're private or something. But if you put your work out there, people will be able to see it if they look. So for me, it was just keep making, focus on the work, put it out there, see if, you know, if you get any bites, if you get any offers, take them. That's it. And the magazine cover, I think their editor-in-chief or their head of marketing or someone knew someone who knows me. So they saw just from the algorithm of the feed, like people you may know or something like that. Oh, this guy does pretty great work. Let's hit him up. We want you to do the magazine. And that's it.
I've been thinking about how great and how really fancy the work that you have done, which I've seen online for such big corporate names such as Adidas, Johnny Walker, and Shake Shack. Now, when I was living and working in New York, I went to Shake Shack like religiously almost every month.
Yeah.
Actually, every other week. Yeah. And Shake Shack was like my water hole. So when I first saw your design over at the Shake Shack branch over in BGC, I felt so much more at home and so much more
that's awesome.
Ease with hanging out in BGC, much in large part thanks to your work with the BGC sign. So with that,
thank you.
With all that in mind, how do you go about with getting your corporate connections to work for these big corporate names with your street art talent?
So I used to do just murals. You know, I used to do street art on the streets. I would do murals for small companies. So the big companies started coming in. Again, it was really, I'd love to say that it was a special story, like some magical thing happened, but really it was just social media and some luck. The thing with Shake Shack, the way that came about was, you know, their head of marketing here in the Philippines, they messaged me, hey, do you want to do this project for us? I'm like, yeah, sure. What is it? Like, we'll tell you at the meeting. And then I show up at the meeting and he's like, okay, so it's for a burger joint. I'm like, okay, burger joint. I've done a bunch of burger joints in the past. That's okay, normal. And then she says, have you ever heard of Shake Shack? And then the gear started turning in my head, like, the Shake Shack? And so it was all that. And then she said, yeah, we're bringing Shake Shack to the Philippines. Don't tell anyone, but we're going to do it. And the first thing I asked her when she was done with the presentation, how did you find my work? That's something I like to ask my clients just out of curiosity. How did you find me? And she said, well, we put in the hashtag mural artist Philippines in Instagram and you popped out. We like your work. And so we're going to hire you. And that's how that came about.
That's impressive.
Hashtags are useful, folks.
Yeah.
Never forget.
Ever since then, I mean, I used to be one of those guys like, oh man, way too many hashtags. That's kind of a drag. Or this person's using hashtags. That's uncool or whatever. But after that,
it's all hashtags.
Like, the power of the hashtag exists. It's really there. It really works. So, you know, I never dissed hashtags ever again.
That's awesome. Well, I really like how you gave that BGC design a very colorful local flavor with the Manila.
Thank you. That was their point. Great. They really wanted it to have this Manila flair, and I thought if it's not colorful, it just doesn't work with Manila. Manila is such a colorful place to be. So
yes,
that was the main point.
So tell us about the Adidas like, what did you do with Adidas? Because I remember on your Instagram, talking about Instagram, you were teasing it, and I was like, this is like something's going down. So I sent you a message. I'm like, yo, what are you doing with Adidas?
Yeah,
like,
I saw that. I saw that.
So
well,
they
were. I've done a few things with Adidas. So one of the first things I ever did with them was I did live art for one of their events when they launched the night jogger shoe. So I did the live art for that. So I guess that got me on their radar. Like, okay, this guy, we have an artist guy who can probably do this. And then when I was in New York, they launched the VRCT jacket. And they needed local artists to create patches for the jacket. So I also did that. We designed the patches because the VRCT jacket was supposed to be like, you get to customize the patches on the front. And they wanted 3 local artists. So it was me, Fine Time Studios, and Kara Roar from, they're also in the con circuit. So that's kind of great. And so I guess that got me on the radar even more until the most recent one was in February. I was an ambassador, sponsor-ish. I don't know exactly what to call it, but for their what was that? Made with Care, Worn Without campaign. So the basic thing with the campaign was they wanted to really show off the shoe, what was it called? They're gonna get mad at me for forgetting. The Super Court, Court premiere. And then they said, we wanted to get artists that, we know and are sure that show how much care and how much detail they put into their work. So I was one of the artists. They also got local filmmakers, tattoo artists, craftsmen to also help with the shoe. So that's what I did for them. I think they recognized like what I could bring to the table, and they hired me for a bunch of stuff.
Okay, and given the whole like the socially aware environment we're in now, I noticed that you did a really amazing and thoughtful campaign for Unilever for their Free to Love LGBTQ.
Yes, that was in December. Yeah.
So tell me about like what was the campaign about? And what was the installation? Because there was a whole like installation you created.
There was. They did an exhibit. So Unilever Close Up, more specifically, Close Up the toothpaste. They had this campaign where it was about free to love. So really just destroying the rules when it comes to love. So how people will there's a stigma when it comes to age gaps in relationships. There's a stigma when it comes to same-sex relationships or anything LGBTQ. There's a stigma with cultural differences. They wanted to really break that down and say there's nothing that's stopping you from being who you really are, and there shouldn't be anything. So they wanted me to create these pieces that celebrated each one. So I collaborated with LGBTQ artists Josh Panaligan and Betsy Cola, also in the con circuit, to create the LGBTQ mural, because I believed I couldn't give that mural the justice it deserved, being that I'm not part of the community. I thought these guys, they know what they're doing. I'll bring them in and they'll help me. The other murals I did, of course, they were less about community, more about circumstances, so they're easier to portray by myself. And then they had the whole exhibit. I think it was the Free to Love exhibit in BGC in Maybank Theater, and there was a panel discussion with members of the community and people who are in relationships like that, age gap relationships, cultural differences, LGBTQ, and it was really about celebrating love in all its forms. So I was happy to be part of that campaign.
I mean, Jappy, if you don't mind me asking, how long does it usually take you to work on a particular project every time you're given such a commission by a corporation otherwise?
Well, okay. Corporations, big companies take much longer, not because of the execution. Execution is actually quite the fastest part of the project, especially when it comes to murals. They'll always ask me, how long will it take you? 2-3 days to paint. But it's the conceptualization, the negotiation, all the nitty-gritty stuff that takes weeks and weeks to plan and everything. Then when they give me the go signal to paint, it's usually like a day, 2 days, 3 days, and then we're done.
Okay. So you come up with all the concepts yourself along with the illustration.
Well, concepts, I make sure that I get the clients, as a professional illustrator, you need the client's say. You can't just go ahead and do whatever you want and hope the client likes it. That's just how I do things, my opinion on it. So I always make sure, tell me what you want to see, and I will be in charge of bringing it to life. It's a collaborative effort when I have projects with clients.
I know a lot of artists, when they're doing like commission work like that, that's sort of the biggest problem. The client's always like, well, that's not exactly what I want. Well, that's not exactly what I want.
Well,
and before you know it,
that's true.
Taking forever. You seem to like mastered the communication between artists and corporation.
I wouldn't say I mastered it. I'm more like I've mastered how I react to it. Given that it's happened many times where you send in something, and I'm proud because this is exactly how I want it to look and everything. You send it to them and they absolutely hate it. It's happened to me a bunch of times. And of course it gets you like, oh man, I worked all week on this and they just don't like it. But in my head, I've just decided to look at it objectively and say, well, they're running a business. They're running the campaign, and it's a vision thing. If the vision doesn't align, then I guess for them, we're paying for this, we might as well get the vision right. So I try to see it that way, even though it hurts when they reject things. For me, it's like,
that's very professional.
Because I can't afford not to be anymore, because when you really lose it, you lose your control with clients. You could really wreck some relationships, or you will end up looking unprofessional. So I just try to be as professional as possible. It could hurt, but that's a work. That's the job.
Speaking of professionalism, another corporate project that you did was with Globe, correct? It was a call card thing with Star Wars involved?
I did postcards for Globe.
Oh, okay.
Postcards for Globe. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
At a fan screening, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah. It was the rise of Skywalker, and everyone was excited. Obviously, it was very exciting.
Star Wars.
So they wanted to commemorate their fan screening with these postcards that kind of remember each one of the new trilogy. So it was 3 artists, me, Rocco Ruiz, and Betsy Cola again. And we were assigned each kind of a theme from each movie. I think mine was Force Awakens. So if you look at the artwork, it's really a hero shot of everyone just coming together. Like more like a poster for Force Awakens.
Yeah, it's like one of the Star Wars posters, right?
Yeah, something like that. I just wanted to make sure it looked like a movie poster, so I got every character in there, everyone from the Rebellion. And then there was a Kylo Ren one for The Last Jedi, for Rise of Skywalker, I think. Because at the time, the idea was that Kylo Ren's gonna be the Skywalker that rises. But yeah, we were all very wrong about that. But that's one of the artworks,
obviously.
That was Betsy Cola's design, and then Rocco Ruiz drew a Last Jedi inspired one, which was Rey and Luke. So that was kind of the theme.
Cool, but this card thing that you did is a bit different from your other work in that it's very pop culture / geek culture entrenched since it's Star Wars. And you've done a bit more of that, right? One of your more recent ones is the New York wall mural featuring Miles Morales.
Oh yeah, that was one of my. That's actually that. Interestingly, I finished that a year ago to this day.
It's
great.
My
Instagram.
I love it.
Thank you. That's one of my favorite pieces. I did grow up like one of those comic book geek guys in school. I was a gamer. I was into comics. I was into film and everything.
Hey, you're among friends.
I know. That's a good part. So yeah, a lot of my work is actually infused with that kind of energy, even though you don't see it in more of my corporate work, because of course you can't put that in.
Of course.
When I get to do stuff for myself, it's really, you see the influences that comics and film has had on my work.
Right. So you obviously grew up with that stuff, but because of your very recent Into the Spider-Verse influence, you're obviously still being influenced by pop culture, geek culture, that sort of
all
stuff.
The time.
So
all
right
the time,
now, Yeah. So right now, what do you think has influenced you the most out of the more recent things that have come out?
Well, not a lot of things have come out recently. Given
I mean,
the situation.
not counting the past 5 months.
Not counting the past
Like
5 months.
Avengers Endgame came out last year. Whatever
Stuff
it
like
was that
that.
inspired you to do.
I still always go back to the old things. I'm more of that kind
For
of guy.
that,
Like I
okay.
go back to more of the classics and then try to absorb whatever like wisdom or inspiration I can get from that, and then put it into my work.
Any old school comic book, video game, or whatever artist that has influenced you the most throughout the majority of your career? Jack Kirby or whoever?
Jack Kirby for sure. I mean,
There
who can argue with
are
that?
some Kirbyisms in your art, like the dot shading, man.
Yeah,
I see it.
that's
The Kirby
actually it.
Crackle.
I do.
Right?
I do that a long time ago when I first discovered it. I was like, man, that's such a cool style. And that's when my work started shifting from just, I wouldn't say like just fan art, more generic looking, to I started putting in, halftone shades, and I started putting in more lines and darker inks into my
It's
work.
the
Was when
nuances
I
that count, right?
discovered, yeah, when I discovered like Jack Kirby stuff, when I discovered Frank Miller stuff.
Right.
Well, it was I like the really heavy shades of inks when they use. I really love the big large blacks next to the colors. I know the Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale Batman series is also really big.
Oh right, yeah.
Because I really
Tim
get
Sale.
into Tim Sale. Long Halloween and Dark Victory, especially. I really love those heavy blacks, and I use that in my work a lot. If you see, yeah, those were the first early ones when I discovered like that became the style that is me now.
Yeah, fantastic influences for sure.
Thank you.
You were saying before, when I was looking at your artwork, it has sort of like the dot shading technique that you would see that was invented to like save ink when like they're printing comics, but like you're doing that on walls. So like it was a technique for ink saving, and then extrapolated. It is not for saving ink. It's just like it's taking a paper medium like style and putting it in a completely different medium.
Yeah, because I really wanted, when I did that, the first time I did that I think was last year for a mural. For I think one of my solo art exhibits, I did an exhibit, and I wanted to make sure everyone knew that comics had played such a large role in shaping my work, shaping who I am. So I had these big stencils of halftone dots made. And so I would paint the murals the way I would, but then I would, instead of shading them like like how you would shade it with gradients and everything, I just shaded them with halftone, with the dots. And it really sparked something in me. This is insanely cool. Let me do that with everything. And then that has become a point of my style that everyone.
It's like a signature of your work, huh?
Yeah, people always ask, where do you get the dots? How do you do that? How do you do it? Like, nothing special. I just
dots, man. Far out.
I just had this
dots.
I just had
That's
a stencil
cool.
made.
Wow.
Yeah, dots. People always think that's such a technique. No, I just stenciled it.
Never seen dots before.
People are really amazed when they first see it.
It works.
Really looks,
I mean,
it looks hand done, like you're done by hand, like you do the dots individually. But no, I just spray on.
It's the magic trick.
Right. Yeah, but more than just the technique, it's the extrapolation of something that was very technically created for saving ink and making that. I'm sure when they were doing the dot shading in the very beginning, they didn't think that it was an art style. It was a way to save money. But it's interesting how a technical thing like that has been extrapolated by this generation to be something that makes it surreal. It makes your artwork seem more surreal because it's like someone took a comic book page and blew it up.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten that a lot. Like people think it's my work has been. They say it feels like it just jumped out of a comic book page, and that's really what I wanted to bring to light. Really, a love and respect for the medium, a love and respect for comics, and I wanted to be cool because when I was growing up, it wasn't cool. I'm sure you guys understand too.
Absolutely.
Being a kid,
your art brings the dynamism and energy that comic book panels, the best remembered ones, have, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted people to look at, because street art is cool. People love street art. It's cool. When I was growing up, comics weren't cool, and now I have this platform to say, hey, comics are really, really cool. Let me just show you how cool they can be. So there, I really wanted to celebrate the medium and every little aspect that they have. I mean, up till now, even my digital work, I texture it with, you know, old grain paper, so it looks like it's from a comic book, because I really just love the look and the texture of everything.
So talking about, you know, you and your art and how it's gone from, you know, student trying to find its way to like corporate extraordinaire, you recently hit sort of a mountaintop where you were on stage at Graphica Manila. You know, tell us about that.
Oh yeah,
being sort of crowned as one of the
let's say crowned,
like thought makers. I'm gonna make a lot of people mad.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
it's all Fred, guys. It's all Fred.
Yeah, I was proud of you, man. I was like, man, I used to sell this kid chicken.
All you got is convinced. Here's your crown.
Well, thank you.
Manila.
Well, okay, so the Graphic Manila thing, that was a real trip. I think I did a talk for the Design Institute of the Philippines, that Design Center of the Philippines, with Patrick Cabral. So he's really well celebrated artist here in the Philippines. And I think he just enjoyed the way I spoke, and he enjoyed what I had to say about the work. So he said, have you ever done Graphica Manila? And I'm like, in my head, of course not. I said, no. No, why would I? I really had no idea why I would ever do Graphica Manila. Of course, it was a dream of mine, but I didn't think, no, of course not. And he said, well, okay. And then he walks away slowly, like real Mr. Miyagi, like what is that? What does that mean? Later on in that week, I get an email, and it was from the CEO of Graphica. He's like, hey, Jappy, we heard from Patrick Cabral that you're a pretty good speaker, and we'd like to invite you to talk. And I thought it was a joke, so I didn't reply to the email for a couple of days. For like the first
ghosted
day.
Graphica Manila.
No, I was just.
It's like, for real? Okay.
I was telling my friends, like, hey, I got this email.
Did you guys
who's playing the trick? Who's playing the trick on me? Because I don't think I don't think the email address was Graphica Manila. It was the name of the guy. So I was like, oh, who's tricking me right now? But the next day I said, oh, well, that's great. Yeah, I'm definitely down. Like, let me know. And so that was in December. So come February, I was a nervous wreck the whole day during the day of, because who did I have on the same day? It was Quix, who just did the Adidas collaboration, the first Filipino artist to do a collaboration with Adidas that day. We also had representatives from Sony Animation that day. So it was really like, what do I have to bring to the table that these guys don't? Because this is my
dots, man. It's all exactly. It's all about the dots.
So that was really nerve-wracking for me. But then on the lead up to the day, I decided, like, when I was writing my talk, I decided to just answer the question, what did I want to know, or what questions did I wish were answered when I was starting out? Because I know a lot of these kids, they come to Graphica to pick something up, to learn something, to hopefully find something that pushes them forward. Because when I went to Graphica the first time, that's what I was looking for. So I said, I'll just do that. And I just got on stage and I did my thing, and that was it. I was a speaker.
What was the title of your speech? I know we should have bought tickets, but what was the title of your talk?
There wasn't a title. It was more just like things there we go. The things I wish I knew when I started out. Because the year before that was my first Graphica Manila, and I told them the story right before my speech. I was sitting in the back and I was listening to Aaron Draplin and Buff Monster talk about their work, and I thought to myself, I want to do this someday. Maybe 10 years, 20 years down the line, I'll be on that stage. So I told everyone at Graphica, last year I was back there, and I'm hoping one of you will be here in front next year. And that's what I aim to do with my talk, to inspire you guys to do this as well. And then I did the thing.
Awesome.
We figured out who jinxed for 2020. Thanks, Jappy.
that was me. That was me. I'm sorry.
You're like, guaranteed next year is going to happen for you.
It was the dots.
The dots with you. Jappy, I want to say thank you personally. You know, I've seen your rise, and I knew we had to put you on the show. And you know, I mean,
thank you.
I've seen him go from like aspiration to some success, and I say some success because at the rate he's going, I know that where he is currently is just the beginning. So I don't want to blow him up and be like, you got a Grammy, an Emmy. It's like he acts.
Maybe someday.
So
someday.
I see you on the rise, and I just wanted to sort of get you on the show because you're going places, and you know, and I know you got there through aspiration and hard work, and
thank you.
It means a lot of weeks, you know, to see the creative spirit get so far.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man. Thank you. It wasn't without its road bumps, of course. I don't want people to listen to this and think it's going to be an easy road. There is a lot of hurdles you got to jump, a lot of mistakes you're going to make, some big ones, some small ones, but you know, it's been fun. It's been fun being here. So I thank you guys for having me, for real.
Well, we're very glad to have you, and
very honored.
Yeah.